Hello and Happy New Year. My name is Jeremy Haskell, and this is your Vermont Jobs Report for January 2012 from jobsinvt.com, how Vermont gets to work. We've had a mild start to the new year, but now that 2011 is in the books, we can take a look back and see how the economy, and in particular the job market, fared over the last 12 months. From a numbers standpoint, Vermont had an interesting year. The Green Mountain State started 2011 with an unemployment rate of 5.7%, and the latest numbers for the year show that that rate dropped just slightly to 5.6%. While certainly not a big drop, it is important to note the volatility in the numbers. The unemployment rate in Vermont dropped to 5.3% in April before shooting back up to 5.9% in August. This is all before settling back down to the 5.6% we closed out at the end of the year. Looking at our first chart, we see that the number of companies actively posting open positions would seem to reflect the general steadiness of the Vermont employment market. While we did finish the year down by 1% in terms of active companies after a slow drop until June, things picked up in the third quarter. This year, a thus far mild winter has hampered hiring here in Vermont. Fortunately, and rather unusual for Vermont's seasonal economy, there was a steady number of opportunities on jobsinvt.com throughout the summer months. And as we look back at 2011 as a whole, we see that there was a significant increase in the number of jobs posted, showing a great improvement in the third quarter for 2011. But once again, after a late year spike, the number of positions posted on jobsinvt.com was up 25% over the course of 2011. Typical for Vermont's seasonal economy, there's a slow and steady growth in the first half of the year, leveling off in the summer, and then peaking as we move into the fourth quarter and the winter tourism season. That this pattern was repeated in 2011 is a good sign for the Vermont economy. Things start to get interesting as we look at the top categories on jobsinvt.com as determined by the number of jobs posted within a given industry. This month, we'll take a look at the performance of the top categories by quarter over the course of the last year. Apart from a few large employers, the Vermont economy is made up primarily of small to medium-sized businesses. And given this large number of small employers, it's no surprise that we have a diverse service-based economy here in Vermont. Looking at our third chart, which shows the number of jobs posted in a bar graph by quarter, we see that there is another trend at work here. 2011 was the first year that saw significant gains across the top categories with a peak in the third quarter. It is encouraging to see that sales and marketing and customer service remained high throughout the year, showing little fluctuation. As we move towards a more service-based economy, it'll be interesting to watch how these categories match up versus science, technology, engineering, and math opportunities, also known as the STEM sectors. Another important component of the job market is the types of opportunities being offered. In our fourth chart, we'll look at the top three categories of paid employment, being contractor per diem work, part-time jobs, or full-time opportunities. Looking at our fourth chart, we see that the numbers were fairly consistent throughout the year, particularly as they relate to contractor per diem positions and part-time jobs. The decline in full-time opportunities, which started in the third quarter of last year, is something we'll certainly keep an eye on as we move through 2012. As for the level of activity, this year was a relatively quiet one in terms of activity fluctuations from month to month. Things are always busiest in the first and fourth quarters, and we saw that trend repeated in 2011. With more activity from smaller companies, big changes in enterprise hiring trends, and more people looking to take control of their own employment destiny, we expect to see high levels of activity throughout 2012. And as always, we'd like to hear from you and what topics you'd like to discuss. Share your questions, challenges, and successes. You can find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and obviously you have us here on YouTube. And that wraps up the Jobs Report for January 2012. I'm Jeremy Haskell. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, while you make a living by what you get, you make a life by what you give.